Hi guys, welcome to Club de Inglés. Today I'm very excited because I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 favorite podcasts. I decided to add them to my own daily life because they helped me to practice my listening skills. I don't really have native English speakers around me, therefore podcasts are definitely the most helpful way to keep improving my English level. And as you might have noticed, I'm going to be talking in English throughout this whole video. The purpose of this new method is to encourage you to try speaking English by yourself. No matter where you are or what time it is, try to talk to yourself in English for at least 5 minutes per day. Please let me know in the comments below if you like this format. I will try to describe the podcasts in 2 sections. First, I will give you the reasons why I listen to these podcasts. And second, I will share with you the characteristics of the speech. If you have this information, I think you'll be able to decide which podcast might fit your needs. Okay, so let's start by talking about the reasons why you should also listen to podcasts if you want to improve your English. Podcasts are a great way to learn English. Not only because you can hear real English conversations, so you can learn how words are pronounced, but also you can listen to them anywhere and pause or rewind them whenever you like. I mean, if you didn't understand a specific word that it's in context, you can rewind the audio and hear the word again. So the benefits are listening to podcasts anywhere, at any time, learning English words in context, being able to rewind the audio so you can practice the pronunciation of words and sentences, learning real and informal English, and finally, learning new information about the main subject of the podcast. Would you like to know which podcasts help me to practice English? Let's get into it. My 5th favorite podcast is the Natalie Creates podcast. Through this podcast, Natalie, who is the host of this podcast, helps us to organize our tasks, plan our businesses, and work on ourselves. We'll learn about business growth, mental health, relationships, and more by hearing experiences from entrepreneurs and personal development leaders. I think that this podcast has 2 characteristics that we can highlight. First, the host speaks very slow, so it's easier for us to fully understand what she and her guests are saying. In my opinion, the vocabulary isn't hard to comprehend because the personal development field uses very basic vocabulary. And also, the more often you listen to podcasts that are related to this field, the more you'll understand the vocabulary in context. So, my advice is, if you like this type of subject, then you should give it a try. My 4th favorite podcast is A Beautiful Mess podcast. I haven't heard this podcast for a very long time. Indeed, I bumped into it a few days after Halloween, and the first episode I heard was the number 118, named Halloween Special Ghost Stories. I didn't think it too much and I added it into my list of favorite podcasts because the hosts, who are sisters, are very funny. The podcast is about home decor, shopping, recipes, family stuff, and they also share some personal and exciting stories about them and their families. As you can see, the subjects discussed in this podcast are like general points. So for me, it's interesting to know their opinions and ideas because they also represent my reality. Therefore, if all these topics represent you and your real life, then I suggest to listen to them. Start by checking their last episode, and if you like it, then have fun with the rest of them. These two girls talk a bit faster than Natalie from the previous podcast, but that's because the target audience is different. Despite that, I think we can highlight these two characteristics. First, we can challenge ourselves and try to understand what they say, even if the speed of talking is faster. The benefit from this challenge is that you will expose yourself to a more natural and common way of speaking, because native English speakers don't normally talk slow. Indeed, they talk fast, just like we talk in our mother tongue. Second, as the topics are related to real and common life, they don't use terminology that we are not familiar with. They both use basic vocabulary, words that are easy to understand, and if it's so hard, we can also try to associate unknown words by getting the main idea of a sentence. My third favorite podcast is The Grown Up Show. Matt Devella is the host of the podcast, and he shares his ideas and knowledge about personal growth, productivity, and lifestyle from a minimalist perspective. Since I know this podcast, I have been working on my own life trying to apply his method. If I'm honest, I haven't been successful enough, but through the process, I have learned so many new words. And that's great. That's great if you are trying to improve your vocabulary, if you are trying to get more words in order to express yourself, to express your ideas. If you're a minimalist or you enjoy learning about productivity and how to build new habits, then this podcast might also help you. Two characteristics can be also highlighted from this podcast. In the first place, the podcast has an interview format, which means that each episode has a different guest. The direct benefit is that we can hear different accents, new ways to express opinions using different words. In the second place, the difficulty level of the vocabulary is a mix of basic and intermediate level. In this case, it will be a lot more beneficial for us because we'll be getting a higher level in a natural way. My second favorite podcast is The Minimalist. The hosts are Joshua and Ryan. And basically, the podcast is all about minimalism and lifestyle. I enjoy learning new ways to organize, not only a physical space, but also my personal and professional life. Maybe that's the reason why I love so much the content of this podcast. They have this perspective of life about loving human beings, not things. Indeed, the episodes helped me to feel connected with the important aspects of life. and I can highlight only one characteristic of this podcast, and this is having the interview format helps us to get used to the different accents. This is the same characteristic from the previous podcast, but I think it's the most important one. The reason? Well, we need to understand the variations of the English language if we want to be able to keep English conversations naturally. My first favorite podcast is the Lavender Lifestyle. The host is called Eileen, and she has helped so many people to get back on track with their lives and goals by sharing her own story. Indeed, I also used to watch her videos on YouTube about meditation, and they are also helpful to work on yourself and to learn new words, new vocabulary in context. The main reason why I love this podcast is that it makes me feel powerful and it makes me feel like I am able to reach my goals if I change my mindset. So if you're interested in knowing some new methods to work on yourself and overcome any insecurity, this podcast is definitely for you. I would like to highlight two characteristics for this podcast. First, Eileen talks very slowly, so understanding words, sentences, and the full context is much easier. Second, she uses very basic and common vocabulary, which means that we won't need to look up the word in a dictionary. These were my top 5 favorite podcasts that helped me to keep practicing my listening skills and might also help you. As you noticed, all these podcasts have two benefits. Firstly, all of them give us a lesson that we can apply to our own lives. And secondly, they are native English speakers who help us to work on our listening skills indirectly. My point is that their real objectives are not teaching English, but they just talk about what they enjoy the most. Now, I would like to know if you already knew some of these podcasts or if you have another one on your list. Please share your ideas in the comments below if you want. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this content, kindly give it a thumbs up so I will know that you would like to have more videos using this format. See you next time, guys. Bye!